Hello, hello. I'm in the high desert of far eastern Nevada. This is a very remote area, several hours from anywhere. And I'm in Great Basin National Park, to be more specific. To me, this mountain right here is really the heart of Great Basin National Park. This is Wheeler Peak. I believe it's the second highest mountain in the state of Nevada. It has just a big, steep, ominous face right there. At the base of that mountain, right about here somewhere, is the only glacier in Nevada. It's really more of a perpetual snowfield than a proper glacier, but that's a debate for another time, I suppose. And then you can hike to the base of that glacier through some groves or stands of bristlecone pines, which are the oldest things on the planet. As you can see, there's a dusting of snow on the mountains here. I didn't realize it had snowed here, and so this has kind of put a wrench in my plans. So I was going to hike up this kind of valley here through the bristlecone pines and then up to the glacier so we could look up at the face. But the road getting up there is closed, and so I can't do that on this trip. To further complicate things, it's snowing again tomorrow, and so that means that I won't be able to do other certain things that I was planning on doing. So basically I planned this trip poorly, and the weather is just not working out for me. But this is still an interesting place. This is still probably one of my favorite under-the-radar national parks. It's not a flashy national park. There's no one standout feature that makes you say, wow, that's incredible. That deserves to be a national park. But there are a handful of interesting things, and altogether they make for a nice little kind of second-tier national park, I would say. Also, my car here is just disgustingly filthy. I drove several hours on wet dirt roads yesterday, and it was not kind to my car. And about 15 minutes down the road, I'm at the next thing that I wanted to see and show you guys. There's no big parking lot here. There's no sign advertising what is here. I mean, there's a sign saying to go slow, but I think the National Park Service doesn't want to draw attention to this spot. I think it's somewhere in the cliff over here. Let's go take a look. So, this is a cave. Visitors to the national park are not allowed to go into the cave. There's a sign over here saying as much. But there's something here that is still interesting to see. We're going to start with this boulder right here. On this boulder are some very faint pictographs. That distinctive red marking. That red color. There's some more over here too. And I don't know if there's more on here. It's kind of dirty. The boulder is dirty. It's hard to see what exactly we're looking at here. This is not the main thing that I wanted to see here. I just noticed that and wanted to show you. The main thing is right there. This is a much better pictograph panel. It's interesting. I don't know, I mean, those red blobs don't have any kind of shape to them other than kind of oblong. Except for this over here in the top left corner. That might be some water. That might be mountains. Who knows? And then down here looks like we might have a person. On that far left side, kind of the triangular or trapezoid shape on the left. And then there might have been some other figures next to him, but looks like it's just weathered away, so it's hard to tell. So we have these markings on the overhang here. We had the faint shapes on that dirty boulder over there. And down to the right, we have some more. There's another panel. It's pretty dirty, but you can still see several figures over here. Mostly it's more of the triangular kind of human figures. We've got 3 of those faint triangular figures here. This is the best one, but then there's also this one right here, and then you can see this triangle here with a head. And maybe there's another one right here. It's pretty faint. And then we've got this. And I'm now actually going to leave the national park. Don't worry, I will be back in the morning, hopefully before any snow or rain hits, but I'm gonna leave the national park, go see something else that is very interesting, pretty remote, and not a whole lot of people know about. And I'm now parked out in the middle of nowhere. My favorite kind of place. Very close to the Utah border. These mountains over here, just on the other side of the valley, are in Utah. I'm less than half a mile from the border. I'm also less than half a mile from the thing I came here to see, which is somewhere over here. And we have arrived at this little stone wall right here. This little stone wall is what remains of an old Native American antelope trap. So it's built in a shallow little drainage, shallow little kind of valley sort of thing. This is the valley, and the wall comes down this way, goes down across the mouth of the little valley, and then continues on up the ridge this way, creating a funnel along the mountainside here. And so a lot of Native Americans, about 50 Native Americans, would head into the hills here, and they would herd wild pronghorn antelope up the mountainside, then down into this drainage here, this valley that you can see behind me. And this little stone wall forms kind of a V to funnel them into this one choke point behind me here, where they would then kill the pronghorn and, of course, eat them. And so let's fly the drone and get a view of this from the air, shall we? It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Now, obviously the wall used to be higher, and I think I read also that there used to be branches sticking up out of the top of the wall, again, just to make it higher. And the Native Americans who would be rounding up, be chasing the antelope, they would smoke sagebrush to hide their scents. So it's a very interesting thing. I mean, I've never seen anything like this before. I know that there are others of these out there, but they're kind of hard to find. And I'm not going to say exactly where this is, but it's really interesting. I'm glad I was finally able to find this. All right, it's almost 7 o'clock. It's basically half an hour from dark. Or from sunset, I guess. I'm going to drive back wherever I need to go to get back to the Great Basin National Park area. This is outside of the national park. I'm going to drive back to the park so that I can set myself up better for what I'm going to go see and do tomorrow morning inside the park. Well, I found a campsite. It's about 15 minutes after dark. Although it looks brighter in the camera here, I'm looking at the screen, than it is in person. It's pretty dark in person. Beautiful spot though. This is called Pruce Lake or Pruis Lake. I'm just barely over the border in Utah. I've never seen or been to this lake before. This isn't really a campsite. It's just kind of a pull-off on the side of the road here, but it'll do for the night. I thought that I'd probably be camping somewhere in this area tonight, and so when I was planning this trip, I marked a couple of dirt roads to go down to try to look for campsites. And this is just BLM land out here. This is public land, and I drove down one of those dirt roads and found this spot. It's not a great, again, this isn't really a campsite. This isn't a great spot to, you know, set up camp for a week or anything like that, but for just a little overnight pit stop, this is a perfectly fine little spot here. All right, guys, I'll see you in the morning. Good morning. It is 8:15. A little bit later than I wanted to wake up this morning. I actually did wake up at 7, but the sun hadn't come out yet and it was cold and I didn't want to get out of my sleeping bag. I'm sure you can relate. I'm sure we've all experienced that at some point. But I'm up and ready to start the day now. Gonna get back in the car and head back into the mountains that you can see behind me here. So this right here, poking up over the darker ridge, that little white spot, that's Wheeler Peak. And I'm going to be heading somewhere off into this direction, I think. According to the weather forecast that was printed out and posted in the National Park Visitor Center yesterday, it's supposed to snow here today, but I find that a little bit hard to believe. I don't see any major clouds in the direction that the wind is blowing from, so don't know what to think about that. But if it does snow, hopefully we can get in and out before the snow comes, before we get trapped in the mountains somewhere, either on foot or, you know, trapped in the car somewhere. And here's where I'm going to start the journey on foot. The road was actually surprisingly good until just a couple hundred feet back this way. I drove a little bit further and then decided to park. The road just gets really quite rocky and rough up this way. I think the road does continue for about another mile if you have a high clearance car that you're willing to subject to that road. And then from the end of the road, I think it's like a mile or a mile and a half to the thing that I want to see. So not entirely sure how many miles in total I'll be hiking for. I am recording on my GPS app on my phone. I use an app called Gaia for that kind of thing. And I guess we'll see exactly how long this takes and how far this is. But yeah, this road, I mean, I can't subject the RAV4 to this. The Yukon could do this, but the RAV4, not so much. And by the way, I don't think I actually mentioned what this trip is. So this is about a week-long trip. I think it'll be a 4-video trip through eastern and southern Nevada, and then also southwestern Utah. There's something that I'm going to be doing in southwestern Utah toward the end of the trip, a couple somethings actually, and those are the main focus. Those are the impetus, that's the reason for this trip. But I wanted to come visit this area again because I like it and I was in the neighborhood. So that is what this trip is all about. Lots of obvious burn evidence here in this canyon that I'm walking through. It's a shame. All these trees are just destroyed. And about half a mile up the road from where I parked, the road has basically ended. Like it ends at this ditch, and it's impossible to drive over to the other side there. And here we have our first look at the destination. This is Lexington Arch. This is a pretty big natural arch in this limestone outcrop over here. Let's go get a closer look. And here we are at the arch. It's spectacular. Now usually I like to stand underneath the arch and give you guys an idea of how big it is in relation to me, but it's hard because the ground slopes away steeply both on that side of the arch and on this side of the arch. And so I don't really have a good place to set up the camera on. Maybe I'll try over here, or maybe just right here. I don't know, my lens on the camera currently is not wide enough to get a good look at the arch here, but it's great. And then here's the view looking out the way I came. Basically the entire hike was outside of the national park. It's only until about like right here, just barely beyond the arch, that I entered the national park again. Everything beyond here was BLM land. It is windy and really cold and pretty unpleasant here, actually. I think it's time for a snack. Kind of a weird snack. This is Bison Jerky. I picked this up at Walmart a few days ago. It's uncured bacon plus cranberry bar. 7 grams of protein per serving, made with 100% grass-fed bison. That is not an appealing consistency. It's not terrible. It's not great either, though. I'll try to finish it, but I can't make any guarantees. All right, let's take one last look here before we hit the trail and head out of here. By the way, it took about an hour and 20 minutes to get here, and it was 2.9 miles, which is longer than I thought it would be. I thought it would be about 2 miles. Turned out to be about 3. To be honest, it wasn't that interesting of a trail. It's not a great trail in and of itself, not a great hike in and of itself, but it was worth it to come here because this is worth seeing for sure. Also, I've been poking around on the rocks on the side of the arch here, and I think I found something potentially interesting. And that is these red markings, these reddish brownish markings right here. What do you think? Do you think those are Native American pictographs? Or is that just something natural? Or is that something more recent? Let me know what you think. And that's just like directly on the far side of the arch. It's right on one of the tail ends of it. And I think with that, I'm gonna end the video. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do with the rest of the day. It is, let's see, it's 11:30. It'll be an hour and a half or so until I'm back out on the main road. And from there, it's about 4.5 hours to Las Vegas. I might go to Vegas today and camp somewhere in that area, or I might head into southwestern Utah. Not entirely sure, but hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for hanging around. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for letting me share this place with you. I really enjoy this national park. Again, it's you know, it's not jaw-droppingly spectacular in any way, I would say, but it's an interesting place, and it is a beautiful place, and it's a remote place, and there's beauty in that in that remoteness, and like I haven't seen anyone out here today. I'm the only one on this trail as far as I know. You certainly can't say that at most national parks. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Oh, that wind. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.